Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone, and evening, morning, evening, afternoon. We are embarking upon the most important of bhakti practices. And just now, this morning, I was listening to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and he was saying that it's not hard to see God. He said it's easy. He said it's just that you do not want to see God. And this indicates that it's our attitude which is most important when we're approaching the holy names. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu gave simple but ample instructions about Krishna's names. And one of them is that he's non-different from his name, and that all the potencies, all his personal potencies, which is the meaning of God, he's all potent, are present there within the name, just as they are in the person. There's no difference. But then Rūpa Gosvāmī says, but there is a difference. Even though the name and the name, Vācam Vācakam, means the name and the named. Everyone says they're not different, but he said they are different. He said, because the holy name is even more merciful than Krishna, because one may abandon Krishna, turn away from Krishna, but the holy name comes to reclaim us and give us an opportunity. As Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says in the last song of his Śaraṇāgati, Krishna, in the form of the holy name, takes him by the hand back to Godhead, by the hand, and leads him to his relationship with Krishna, which is inconceivable. Nonetheless, we have the opportunity, wherever we may be, to take the Mahāmantra to heart as our main means of connecting with Krishna and inviting him to take us by the hand also. So let's start with our Bhuta Shuddhi. Please follow along behind muted mics. I'm by nature the eternal servant of Krishna, but by misfortune, due to being inimical towards him since time immemorial, I've been wandering within the cycle of birth and death in the material world, being burnt by the threefold miseries. Now, as a result of some unimaginable good fortune, by the mercy of my spiritual master, I know that I am an infinitesimal living being, completely apart from the gross and subtle body. Now, by the order of my spiritual master, I have obtained the good fortune of serving his lotus feet, as well as the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Radha Mohan. Naham Vipro, Nacha, Narapatir, Napi Vaisho, Nashudro, Naham Barni, Nacha, Gripatirno, Anasto Yatirva, Kintu Prodyan Nikila, Paramanand Purnamritabder, Gopi Bhartu Parakamalayor Das Das Anadasaha. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or Shudra, nor am I a Brahmachari, a householder, a Vanaprastha, or a sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar, and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. One of the ways that Prabhupada mentions that we can pray is to admit to Krishna how we're being tossed by the modes of material nature. Or we can tell Krishna personally, because he's our best friend, Suhrit, what our intention is. Or we may ask for help. We may ask to be engaged in a service. Please take half a minute to set your sankalpa, your purpose for chanting. You can speak it directly to Krishna, but utter something clearly. This is why I'm chanting today. We'll resume in 30 seconds. Now, very helpfully, it's very helpful if you remember with gratitude that Krishna's your maintainer. Everything we're doing, everything that we have, is coming from Krishna. So hold some gratitude in your heart. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Just a quick check-in that there's a part of our minds that keep running a loop of what's going to happen. What should I plan for? What happened in the past? How do I look right now? And it's a endless cacophony of thoughts, sounds, and so forth that runs. And we're the spirit soul within the body. We can be conscious, choose to be conscious of whatever realm we wish. That's our free will. So especially practicing chanting japa means turn that loop off, that endless talking that goes on in the head, and just listen to the holy name. Simplify it. It's like got an on-off switch. You can turn off that other aspect and just let the holy name of Krishna go directly into your ear, and just be conscious of that for a while. Give the other thing a break. Let it just go on somewhere else. From your lips to your ears to your mind, straight through. Reflections, breakthroughs, questions. Ram.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking a lot about the idea of bringing our mind back to chanting the holy name because the mind is very easily distracted. And there's this verse in Bhagavad Gita I have a test for Bhakti Shastri tomorrow, so one of the verses to memorize was pretty related to this. So I just wanted to share a couple verses relating to this topic. It's 6.26. It says yato nischalati manaschan chalam asthiram tatastato niyam yaitad atman yeva vasham nayet. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. And so I thought that was pretty related to this idea. And there's also another verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas, which I recently came across, which also talked about this. And it says, Mana samharanam socham maunam Chintanam avyagratvam anirvedo japa sampatya hetava. In order to perfect one's chanting of japa, one needs to cultivate the following qualities: control of the mind, internal and external purity, silence, contemplation of the mantra's meaning, patience, and steadfastness. And the commentary, just one part of it says, here, mana samharana means to repeatedly bring back the mind when it wanders to sense objects. Avyagratva means that one should not rush one's chanting in order to finish the fixed number of rounds. Anirveda means that one should not lose hope when one does not attain the results as quickly as expected. So I thought these 2 points were pretty related to some of the things we've been talking about regarding chanting.
A really nice contribution, Ram. Thank you. We should have an archive. We should have an archive, not a little archive, big archive. We should have an archive. So whenever there are reflections, especially that contain Shastra, we could keep those, and we'll keep a list of verses cited. What do you think?
Yeah, I can do that, Maharaj.
Okay. Shrikar.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I really liked Ram's points. I was meditating on something recently about how Krishna is our support. He's our well-wisher. He's our friend. Because oftentimes, like, whether something really good or really bad happens in your life, he's always there. And there's so many places in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna talks about how he's a well-wisher, friend. For example, like Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Rig Sama Yajur Evacha. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says that I'm the mother, the father, the support, and the grandsire. So he says he's the support there. And he also says, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Parivaste Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemam Mahamyaham. He says that one who worships with me with exclusive devotion, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. And even Bhoktaram Yagnata Vasam Sarva Lokamaheshwaram Surdam Sarva Bhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantim Ruchati. Krishna says, Krishna says that if someone is in consciousness of me, who knows me to be the ultimate beneficiary, he talks about how he's the beneficiary for all sacrifices and austerity. Sacrifice meaning it can he's the benefactor or he's the beneficiary. He's the target of when we perform Harinam Sankirtan. We're directly pleasing him by performing Harinam Sankirtan. And then he's also, again, over there, he also, in that verse, he also says he's the well-wisher and friend, or benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. So in so many places, Krishna says that. So when I'm if I going through some struggle, or whether I'm even when I'm really happy, I can always attribute it to Krishna.
Well done, Shrikar. And nice citations you gave. Just like the blowing wind, too. It's very beautiful. Thank you. Bhaktin Manya.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. May I ask a question?
Yes.
So you were mentioning how there's this constant loop in our head, but we can choose to be conscious of whatever realm we wish, and that is our free will. But I was thinking that sometimes the other side of material nature is so strong that it pulls us so strongly, and it feels that my free will is almost very minute in that way. So is our free will in the fact that we are choosing to chant, or is it that we can even try to bring our minds back? So more like a clarification on what that free will is, because it feels like the other side is so strong, pulling us all the time.
Our free will is minute, and we're minute. And Krishna is aware of our intentions. And he's waiting to see what our intention is so that he can reciprocate. And when a tiny living entity who's helpless against the force of material nature is able to express a sincere desire that Krishna, I want you. If you can find that, that's real chanting. And Krishna helps us. Srikar Prabhu was giving many verses, so was Ram, about the ways in which Krishna is always there to help us. Ram talked about the directives given in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, be disciplined. And Vyasadeva says in the Vedanta Sutra, if there is an admonition to control the senses, control the mind, it means you can do it. But how do we do it? By Krishna's empowerment. And part of chanting is admitting, Krishna, I'm helpless. I want you. I want to control my mind. I just want you. That's a nice way to think about it. And if you're repeating that, Krishna, I only want you. I just want you. He'll reciprocate. He'll help us to do that. He's already helping us. So he wants us, as Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, the first canto, second chapter, verse 17, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. In his purport, Prabhupada says, Krishna wants us to come back to him more than we can ever desire. So he's our well-wisher, and he'll help us. So if you can find even the minutest inspiration or sincere desire to serve Krishna, and Krishna, I just want to hear your name. I don't want to hear that other thing. That's your free will coming out. And yes, it's overwhelming, the power of the material nature, but Krishna will help. Daivahi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. Krishna says, very difficult to overcome the material nature. But if you surrender it to me, and that's what surrender means, you do the right thing. You're like, okay, the acharyas all say chant Hare Krishna, I'm going to do it. And then you start to notice, oh, Krishna's helping me. I couldn't have done that on my own, although you made the choice that I'm going to do this. That's your individual free will coming out. And Krishna's just waiting to see that. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being stalwarts, making Japa great again, because it's the most important of our activities, our personal sadhana and self-observation, swadhyaya, to see, can we sit? Can we be aware of the name? Are we willing to overcome the mind and undergo the struggle that it takes to keep coming back to Krishna? A little bit of that goes a long way. It becomes the fulcrum of power in our lives that, oh yes, I'm choosing Krishna. Any last points? Dear Śrīla Prabhupāda, dear Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Śrī Panchatattva, Śrī Radha Madan Mohan, Śrī Radha Govinda, Śrī Radha Gopinath. If you so desire, please empower us so that throughout the day we can remember that our free will is to keep bringing our attention back to your holy names. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And make a note, Halayuta Kripa has voted for Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Thank you, everybody. Vanshakalptarusha Kripa Sindhave Vajapatitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. KTTVG.